tornado is one of the most violent storms on the planet. Courageous storm chasers pursue these amazing storms, putting themselves directly in the path of danger. Their job is to gather information so that scientists can better understand how and why tornadoes happen. With that information, they can warn people when a storm is approaching and help save lives. Hi, I'm Max Orbit. Learning about weather is way cool. And so is the job of a professional storm chaser. But these guys aren't out just for a thrill ride. They know all about weather and have all kinds of equipment to measure the storm. Would you like to forecast a storm where you live? Well, you can do it and become an official storm chaser. But first, you need to know what weather is and what causes weather. And you'll also need to build your own weather station. I can show you how to do that later. But first, let's begin by answering a simple question. What is weather? Weather is happening every day all over the planet Earth. And weather affects everyone's life. Snowstorms can cause treacherous driving conditions. Hurricanes can destroy an entire town and pose danger to every living creature. A sweltering heat wave or lack of rain can ruin a farmer's crops and cause health problems too. We see weather, we hear about it, and we talk about it. But what is weather? Here's a simple definition. Weather is what is happening in the atmosphere around us at any one time. Now, for thousands of years, people have tried to predict or forecast what the weather would be. At first, people looked to nature for clues. Sometimes they look to animals. For example, bees are sensitive to moisture in the air. So when people saw bees busy at work, that was a sign of nice weather. If it was going to rain, the bees headed back to their hives. The color of the sky also helped people forecast weather. A red-colored sky at sunset is caused by dust particles that are around only if the weather is fair and dry. So, a red sky at night means a nice day ahead. People also look to the moon to forecast weather. Clouds that bring snow or rain cause the moonlight to spread out, creating what appears to be a ring around the moon. Today, scientists who study weather are called meteorologists. You've probably seen them on TV in front of a weather map like this. Meteorologists forecast what the weather will be. Using computers and weather satellites, they are able to forecast changes in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is all the air that surrounds the Earth. It's made up of 5 layers of gases. The layer closest to the Earth is called the troposphere. Then comes the stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and finally the exosphere. Now, weather happens only in the layer closest to the Earth, the troposphere. There are 3 things that are needed to make weather. They are heat from the sun, air, and water. Let's talk about the heat from the sun first. Sunlight warms the surface of the Earth. However, only half the energy is absorbed by the surface. The other half is reflected back into space or absorbed by the atmosphere. Some surfaces reflect more heat than others. For example, white snow reflects almost 90% of the sun's energy, so very little heat remains. The shiny surface of water also reflects the sun's rays. It takes water a long time to heat up. While the dark green tropical rainforests absorb large amounts of the sun's energy, therefore lots of heat remains. Temperature is the measure of heat, and people usually describe the temperature as hot or cold. But the real definition of temperature is the measure of how fast molecules are moving. Boiling water has a higher temperature than cold water, simply because the molecules in the boiling water are moving faster. Temperature is measured in degrees by using a thermometer. Thermometers come in all shapes and sizes, and it should be part of your weather station. Next, let's talk about air. The air that surrounds us is always moving. Moving air is called wind. Wind is caused by heat from the sun. Here's how it works. These blue particles represent air molecules. When the air is cold, they are packed closely together. They are very dense. Now, when air begins to warm up, the molecules begin to move faster and move away from each other. They are less dense. So, cold air has more molecules in the same place. Therefore, cold air is heavier and more dense than warm air. Warm air is lighter and less dense. That's why cold air sinks and warm air rises. Air begins to move when the sun heats the land and warms the air above it. Warmer air pushes upward because it is less dense. At the same time, heavier, cooler air is drawn in below to replace the warmer rising air. This circulation of air is called a convection current. How fast or how slow the air moves is determined by air pressure. Air pressure is the weight of air pressing down on the Earth. When cool, dense air presses down on the Earth, the air pressure is usually high. High pressure usually brings nice weather. When warm air rises away from the Earth, the air pressure is usually low. Low pressure usually brings clouds and precipitation. Changing pressure brings winds. Wind blows from areas of high pressure to low pressure. If there isn't a big difference in the pressure, we get gentle winds. If there is a big difference in the air pressure, winds can become violent. Meteorologists measure the speed of wind with an instrument called an anemometer. Here's how you can make your own. What you'll need are 4 plastic cups, a heavy-duty paper or plastic plate, a stapler, a push pin, and a long stick. First, mark one of the plastic cups so it's different than the others. Ta-da! Now, staple the 4 cups to the edge of the plate, and be sure the opening of all of the cups face in the same direction. They all face in the same direction. Now, insert the push pin through the center of the plate. And then push your push pin into the stick. Ha-ha! Now, watch it spin. Secure the stick in the ground. The cups will begin to turn in the wind. The marked cup will help you count the turns. The faster the wind, the more turns there will be per minute. Now there's your homemade anemometer. You may be wondering, why didn't the water fall out? Well, it's not magic. It's air pressure. The pressure on the cardboard from the air outside the glass is greater than the pressure of the water inside the glass. That's why the water stays in the glass. That's the power of air pressure. Meteorologists can measure air pressure with an instrument called a barometer. It's an important part of any weather station, and every amateur storm chaser needs one. But you don't have to buy one, you can build one. Here are the materials you'll need. A glass jar like a spaghetti sauce jar, a balloon, a rubber band, tape, a straw, construction paper, a piece of paper, a marker and a ruler, and an empty carton of milk. Step 1. Stretch the balloon over the empty jar and secure it with a rubber band. Step 2. Attach one end of the straw to the middle of the balloon. Then cut out a triangle from your construction paper. This will be your pointer, and attach it to the other end of the straw. The straw should be laying flat on the balloon and sticking out about 8 inches away from the jar. Next, Take the scale you drew on the paper labeled 1 through 21 on the side of the milk carton. Place the barometer and then line up the pointer to the number 11 right in the middle of the scale. Now let's wait and see what happens. Time's up. Let's see what happened. Ah, look. You can see that the pointer is now down around 9, so there's less air pressure pushing down on the balloon. That means low pressure is moving into the area, and that means a storm could be on the way. That's how a barometer works. Water plays a very important part in weather, and there certainly is a lot of water on Earth. If you were to look at the Earth from space, you'd soon realize that over 70% of the Earth is covered by water. There is a fixed amount of water on Earth. Water is continuously moving through our world, and it's been doing so forever. It's called the water cycle. Let's see how it works. All over the world, water is constantly moving up into the sky through the process of evaporation. When the sun heats up the Earth, that's when evaporation begins. Have you ever seen a puddle dry up after a rainstorm? Where did the liquid water go? It's in the atmosphere in the form of a gas or water vapor. And it's all because of evaporation. The next step of the water cycle is condensation. When the water vapor is up in the sky, it begins to cool and condense, causing clouds to form. Clouds are masses of water droplets. When the water droplets in the clouds become too heavy, the water falls back to the Earth. This is called precipitation. The temperature and how high the cloud is will determine the form of precipitation. Snow falls when the temperature is around freezing and the cloud is fairly low in the sky. Hail is another form of precipitation. Hail is a large frozen raindrop produced by intense thunderstorms. Hailstones can cause damage to people, places, and things on the ground. Some hailstones have been known to be as large as a grapefruit. The point at which water vapor, a gas, begins to condense back into liquid raindrops is called dew point. You can create dew point right in your own kitchen. Warning! Please do not try this demonstration at home without adult supervision. Let's say this metal pie plate filled with ice is the sky. Boiling water turns liquid water into water vapor. When the water vapor from the boiling water hits the cold metal pie plate, our sky, it changes back to a liquid form, water. As the drops get larger and heavier, they can no longer cling to the bottom of the pan, and they fall back into the pot, and the cycle starts all over again. This demonstration is a little bit like how rain works in nature. As storm chasers, it's important that you monitor the amount of precipitation in your area. So, a rain gauge is a must-have for your weather station. Here's what you'll need to make one. A plastic ruler, a clear straight-sided glass container, at least a quart, and clear waterproof tape. Here's what you do. First, you place the ruler inside the jar so that you can read the measurements from outside the jar. Now be sure the bottom of the ruler is even with the bottom of the jar. Next, you're going to tape the ruler to the inside of the jar, like this. Now, just place your rain gauge outside in an open area away from trees and buildings. What you want to do after it rains is check out how much rain fell and record it in a notebook. At the end of the month, add up how much rain fell for that month. Keeping rainfall measurements from the past help forecast how much rain we'll get in the future. Oh yeah, one very important point. Make sure you empty out all of the rainwater from your rain gauge after each rainstorm. We've all seen clouds and know that clouds are masses of water droplets. It's important to be able to name and identify clouds because they can give us information about the weather. So, let's test your knowledge of clouds right now with a little cloud quiz. Okay, On the screen, we've got big, white, puffy clouds. Can you name this cloud? Time's up! If you said cumulus, you're absolutely right. When you see big, white, puffy cumulus clouds in the sky, you can expect nice, sunny weather. But be careful, though, because cumulus clouds can change and become dark gray. Dark gray cumulus clouds can bring rain showers. Let's get another type of cloud on the screen. Thanks. Oh, these white clouds have fuzzy edges, and they sort of look like feathers. You know what we call this type of cloud? Time's up! If you said a cirrus cloud, you're absolutely right. Cirrus clouds are made of ice crystals and typically are a sign of fair weather. However, they could mark the approach of a low-pressure area and rain. Now, these clouds are clouds that cover the entire sky. Can you name this type of cloud? If you said stratus cloud, you'd be 100% right. Stratus clouds are known to bring precipitation, either rain or snow. And when stratus clouds move close to the ground, we call them by another name, fog. Thanks for playing our cloud quiz. Meteorologists have learned that there are certain similar patterns of weather in different parts of the world. These weather conditions are known as climates. There are 3 climate zones in the world. The climate of a place depends mostly on how far away it is from the equator, the imaginary line that runs around the center of the Earth. At the equator, the sun's rays hit the Earth directly, so it's very hot. The climate near the equator is called the tropical zone. At the southernmost part of the Earth and the northernmost part of the Earth are the North and South poles. Here, the sun's rays are more spread out, so these areas are always cold. They are called the polar zones. Between the equator and the poles, there's another climate zone called the temperate zone. Temperate climates have 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Seasons happen because the Earth tilts as it goes around the sun. As the Earth moves, some parts on Earth are tipped closer to the sun. That makes it a warm season. The places on the Earth that are tipped farther from the sun experience a cold season. Polar climates only have 2 seasons, 6 months of summer, followed by 6 months of winter. In the tropical climates, the tilt of the Earth doesn't affect the weather very much. It feels warm all year long. But tropical climates do have 2 seasons, wet and dry. Lightning in the sky is exciting to watch. Did you know that lightning strikes the Earth as much as 100 times per second? What is lightning? Well, it's created by static electricity. You know what static electricity is. It happens when you rub your feet on the floor and touch a doorknob, and you get a little zap of electricity. That's static electricity. Lightning is static electricity on a much larger scale. You ever wonder, where does the sound of thunder come from? Well, when lightning strikes, it can heat the air around it to over 30,000 degrees Celsius. That's hot. The surrounding air expands very rapidly. That generates a gigantic shock wave. It's like blowing up a paper bag and forcing all the air to escape by smashing it. Watch this. That's thunder. As a storm chaser, there are some important things you need to know, like how far away is the lightning? Well, thunder and lightning happen at the same time. We see lightning first because light travels faster than sound. Using this fact, we can calculate how far away the lightning is. All you have to do is count the seconds between the flash and the sound of the thunder. So here's the formula. Every 5 seconds equals 1 mile. So if you count, say, 10 seconds, the lightning happened 2 miles away. Believe it or not, powerful hurricanes begin as small thunderstorms over warm ocean waters. Over the ocean, winds coming from opposite directions collide and begin to rotate. These swirling winds cause large waves. Water vapor rises very quickly, and the storm gains more energy. Over time, the winds move faster and faster with more force. This creates a low-pressure area in the middle of the storm, called the eye of the hurricane. It's always very calm in the eye of the hurricane. However, around the eye, there are heavy rains and very high wind speeds. To be called a hurricane, wind speeds must be at least 74 miles per hour. If a hurricane hits land, the wind can uproot trees and destroy buildings. Large waves can also cause property damage and flooding. We can't stop hurricanes, but we can study and understand them better, so we can give advance warning so lives can be saved. Tornadoes usually occur when there's a huge difference in air pressure. The cold air tries to squeeze under the warm air. There is a violent battle. A column of warm, humid air will begin to rise very quickly. The rising air may begin to spin like a top. This rotating updraft is called a vortex. When the spinning column of air hits the ground, it's called a tornado or twister. Tornadoes are one of the most violent storms on our planet. Here's a quick and easy way to get a close-up look of what a tornado actually looks like. I've attached 2 soda bottles together and filled one about 2/3 of the way with water and added some food coloring. Now, I'm going to spin the bottles in a circular motion, circulating the water and creating a vortex. That's what a tornado looks like. Well, we learned a lot about how air, water, and heat from the sun all interact to create weather. And I bet you're feeling pretty smart. So, let's test our weather knowledge. See if you can pass the Storm Chaser test. Here's the first question. What is the name of the instrument that measures air pressure? Is it A, an anemometer, B, thermometer, or C, barometer? Time's up. If you said C, barometer, you're absolutely right. An anemometer measures wind speed, and a thermometer measures temperature. Question 2. What type of cloud has fuzzy edges and looks like feathers? Is it A, cumulus, B, cirrus, or C, stratus? Time's up. The correct answer is B, cirrus clouds. Question 3. A scientist who studies weather is called a what? Is it A, weatherologist, B, meteorologist, or C, microbiologist? Time's up. The correct answer is B, meteorologist. So, how did you do? If you did well on the Storm Chasers test, then all you have to do is put your own weather station together with your own barometer to measure air pressure, an anemometer to measure wind speed, and a rain gauge to measure precipitation. Studying weather is way cool, and now you've got what it takes to be an official amateur storm chaser. See you next time! The cheetah is one of the fastest animals on Earth. It can run at speeds of over 60 miles per hour. Cheetahs live in the African grasslands, along with another very fast animal, the impala. In the grasslands, cheetahs hunt for food. Using their speed, they run down their prey. In this case, it's the impala. Their methods of hunting are perfectly suited to their habitat, which is the open grassland. Mountain goats are supreme mountain climbers. They can navigate the steep terrain because they have strong, muscular legs and pliable hooves with soft, rubbery pads. Mountain goats are specialized in their hoof and body shape, making them the most successful trekkers on the cliffs. Very few predators can follow them. They are well adapted to their mountain habitat. The aninga is a water bird. It can swim, dive, and chase fish underwater. The aninga lives in the Everglades. It spears its prey with its pointed arrow-like beak. Sometimes the thrust of the aninga's beak is so powerful that it has to pry the fish off by rubbing it against a rock. The aninga is perfectly suited to its water habitat. Hi, I'm Max Orbit. Learning about animals and their habitats is way cool. And so are the jobs of scientists who study all kinds of plants and animals in their natural environments. Would you like to be a nature explorer? A bio-tracker that studies and observes plants and animals in their natural habitats? Well, you can. We're going to discover many different kinds of habitats all over the world, so you'll be prepared for your own adventures. But you'll also learn that you don't have to travel very far to observe natural habitats. Wherever you live, that's your habitat. A habitat is a place where a plant or animal lives. Every living thing has its own habitat. And there are many different kinds of habitats for every climate on Earth and every type of living thing, from the largest of mammals to the tiniest of insects. Let's play What's That Habitat? A series of pictures will pop up on the screen. I'll give you a brief description, and then you have to guess, what's that habitat? Okay, let's begin. Oh, it's hot, it's dry, and it's full of sand. What's that habitat? You guessed it, it's the desert. It's cold, and you'll never run out of ice in this habitat. Can you guess? It's the polar region. It's wet, it's wild, and it's very splashy. In fact, it's the largest habitat on Earth. Can you guess that habitat? Right! It's the water habitats of the world. Now here, trees grow tall, and it's filled with all kinds of creatures. What's that habitat? It's the forest. Now this is a home where the buffalo roam and the deer and the antelope play. What's that habitat? It's the grasslands. And finally, this has very few trees, it's very cold, and it's a great place if you're a reindeer. Can you guess this habitat? It's the tundra. Great job. Thanks for playing What's That Habitat? Every habitat is very different, but they all have one very important thing in common. Each habitat meets the needs of the plants and animals that live there. All living things need air, food, water, and space to hunt or forage for food and raise their young. Within the space of a habitat, animals need to find shelter. A shelter is a place or object that protects animals from weather and predators. For example, some animals like this red-winged blackbird can find food and water to feed her young while finding shelter among the tall grasses of her habitat. While this salamander uses rocks and ledges for a shelter. Some animals may find shelter by digging tunnels or burrows in the ground, while others find shelter and protection high up in the trees. Some animals even carry their shelters around with them, like this tortoise. All living things adapt or change to their habitat. For example, Sea lions have insulating blubber designed to keep them warm in the frigid, cold climate they live in. It's an example of an animal adapting to the climate of its habitat. Habitats differ from one climate to the other. There are 3 climate zones in the world: the polar regions, the temperate zones, and the tropical zones. Let's start our exploration in the polar regions of the world. Located at the northern and southern ends of the Earth, the plants and animals of the polar region have adapted quite well to their habitat. The polar regions have very cold climates and are covered by ice and snow. The animals that live in the polar regions have adapted and developed so they are able to survive in this harsh, cold habitat. For example, penguins are designed perfectly for life in the polar habitat. Looking around, you see that there isn't much plant life in the polar region. So where do animals find their food? Well, if you're a penguin, you find your food in the ocean. Did you know that some species of penguins spend as much as 75% of their lives in the water? Penguins have very heavy, solid bones that help weigh them down and allow them to stay underwater. Flying birds need large wingspans to help them fly in the air. But a penguin's wings are shaped like flippers to help them fly underwater. Their bodies are streamlined, and they have paddle-like feet, insulating blubber, and watertight feathers, all designed for living in frigid temperatures. In addition to blubber for insulating warmth, a penguin's feathers are very stiff, and they're packed so tightly that they overlap to provide waterproofing. Why are they colored black and white? Well, this counter shading makes them almost invisible to predators from above and below. Now we're going to head to another cold but fascinating habitat. It's called the tundra. The tundra is found in North America, Greenland, and parts of Northern Europe and Northern Asia. The word tundra comes from a Finnish word which means barren land. It was considered barren because there are very few trees on the tundra. On a wide view of the tundra, it may look barren, but get a closer look and you'll see parts of the tundra filled with life. One group of animals that flourishes on the tundra are caribou, otherwise known as reindeer. Traveling in herds, they make their way along the tundra. Caribou are uniquely adapted to live in the tundra habitat. Winter on the tundra can last up to 8 months, and it's cold. So, notice how thick its fur is. Caribou have 2 layers of fur to keep it warm in this cold climate. What's interesting about a caribou is that, except for a small area around its eyes and lips, its entire body is covered with fur. All of these characteristics are the caribou's way of living successfully in its habitat. Other animals live on the tundra as well. Besides caribou, you'll find the Arctic wolf. The Arctic wolf wears 2 coats of fur as well. The overcoat is made of coarse, hollow hair. The undercoat is like thick wool and traps air to help keep the wolf warm. If you look closely, you may also find Arctic hares hopping around the frozen tundra. Animals who live on the tundra look different at different times of the year because they have adapted to the seasonal changes of the habitat. The Arctic hare's fur is brown during the warm months, typically from June to August, and turns white in winter. The next stop are the forest habitats of the world. Did you know there are different kinds of forest habitats, and they all have different types of plants and animals that live there? The first forest habitat we're going to explore is the coniferous forest. Coniferous forests are found in the northern regions of the world, where the weather is usually colder. Trees found in the coniferous forest, such as firs and spruce, have needle-shaped leaves that stay green all year. The word coniferous comes from the word cones. Coniferous trees have cones like this for seeds. In the waters of the coniferous forests, you'll find small animals like beavers. Beavers are large aquatic rodents that feed on roots, bark, and twigs, so they're made to live in the forest where there's an abundant food source. Up in the trees, you'll find owls. Owls see well in the dark, and their beak is designed to catch and hold small animals like mice. On the ground of the coniferous forest, you'll find bears. Bears are omnivores, which means they eat both plants and meat. You may find a bear in the river hunting for fish, or walking through the forest searching for berries. The coniferous forest is also the home of fishers. From November to March, fishers get thick, soft fur, which helps them adapt to the cold weather. Fishers have sharp teeth, so they can eat animals much bigger than themselves. And their claws help them climb trees and attack their food. If you head south from the coniferous forest, you'll find another forest habitat called the temperate forest. Temperate forests are found on the North American continent, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia too. A temperate forest has 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. In a temperate forest, you'll find deciduous trees like maple and oak trees. Deciduous trees drop their leaves in the fall. In the temperate forest, you'll also find other plants like wildflowers and ferns too. Many plants and animals make their homes in temperate forests. Plants and animals that live in the temperate forest have adapted to the 4 seasons. Birds that live in temperate forests fly or migrate to warmer places, while squirrels plan ahead before the cold winter comes and store nuts and acorns to eat in the winter. Another type of forest habitat is called the tropical rainforest. The tropical rainforest is found in tropical areas of the world. Rainforests are found in South America, Malaysia, and Africa. Rainforests are hot and wet. The plants grow very quickly, and they've adapted to large amounts of rainfall and the excessive heat. In a rainforest, you'll find plants with very broad leaves and trees that grow tall above the shrubs and vines. A rainforest has many layers. The tallest layer has trees that can grow as high as 250 feet or more. Below that is the canopy layer that has trees that are between 60 and 150 feet tall. These branches form a canopy, or a kind of cover, that shades the floor of the rainforest. The canopy blocks much of the sunlight from reaching the forest floor and stops the rain from falling directly onto smaller plants. For example, thick vines climb up the trees. It's how they have adapted to reach sunlight. The layer below the canopy is called the understory. Here, plants have adapted to the poor soil with few nutrients and sunlight. Some don't even produce flowers in order to conserve energy. Others have broad leaves in order to soak up what little sunlight there is. Animals living in the rainforest have adapted to life among tall plants. A monkey's hands, feet, and tail are designed for moving high above in the rainforest canopy, keeping it safe from predators on the ground. Large predators like the jaguar have colors that help it blend into the foliage. In the rainforest, you'll find a large variety of colorful birds that have adapted to life here in the rainforest. Their special coloring allows the birds to blend in with the flowers, helping to protect them from predators. The abundance of flowers in the rainforests help provide food for the animals that live there. In addition to the mammals and the birds, one of the largest insect populations in the world lives in the rainforest. There are also a wide variety of reptiles like frogs and snakes. Rainforest snakes blend well with the vegetation. Their camouflage allows them to sneak up on unwitting prey. Unfortunately, Today, acres and acres of the rainforests are disappearing because of commercial development. As a matter of fact, 1.5 acres of rainforest are lost every second. Rainforests once covered 16% of the Earth. Today, it's only 6%. Now let's visit another fascinating habitat, the grasslands. Grassland habitats can be found all over the world. You'll find grasslands in Africa, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia too. The Great Plains of the United States are grasslands. In the grasslands of North America, you'll find large animals like buffalo grazing on the grassy plains. Male buffalo can weigh up to 2,000 pounds and stand 5 or 6 feet tall. But despite their gigantic size, buffalo can run up to speeds of 30 miles an hour. In the winter, buffalo use their large heads to dig through the snow to find dried grass to eat. In the spring, they shed their heavy winter coats. Because there are very few trees or bushes, the grasslands do not offer much in the way of shelter. So, animals like the prairie dog have adapted by building their shelter underground. They live in colonies with sometimes thousands of other prairie dogs. Prairie dogs work together to guard against predators. They stand vigilant on mounds looking for any would-be attackers and bark to warn the others in the colony. By the way, the prairie dog's favorite food is grass. On the grasslands of Australia, you'll find wallabies, a relative of the kangaroo. While in Southwest Asia, you'll find a fast-running but flightless bird, the ostrich. Ostriches can't fly, but they can run, reaching speeds of 40 miles per hour. In Africa, the grasslands have a special name, the savanna. On the African savanna, you'll find large grazing animals, such as elephants, rhinos, and wildebeests. There are also fierce predators like lions. Grasslands are typically large, wide-open spaces. Most plants found on the grasslands are grasses. There are not too many trees found in the grasslands because there isn't enough rain. But the few trees that exist are important to some of the grassland animals. On the savanna, giraffes are a good example of how animals have adapted to their habitat. The only food for giraffes in the grasslands are the leaves at the top of the trees. So giraffes grow very tall and have flexible necks to be able to easily reach their food. Acacia trees, like the one this giraffe is eating from, can grow up to 6 feet high. These trees have deep roots so they can reach the nutrients they need to live. Many animals that live on the grasslands have adapted to be very fast because there aren't many places to hide. So, speed is important to escape predators and to catch prey. The next type of habitat we're going to visit is called the desert. Deserts are found in North America, parts of South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. Some deserts are hot and dry, like the Mojave Desert in North America and the Sahara Desert in Africa. Others are cold and dry, like the Gobi Desert, north of the Himalayan mountains. Plants and animals that live in the desert are adapted to life with very little water. Water is difficult to come by in the desert, so many plants and animals have adapted to creative ways of getting and storing water. For example, snakes get water from the food they eat. Camels are able to drink and store lots of water in their bodies at one time. A plant that is adapted to life in the arid desert is the cactus. Cactus plants can survive by storing enough water when it rains and then continue to function during dry periods. Cactus store water in either their stems or roots. When cactus reach maturity, they bear very nutritious fruits, which are eaten by many animals of the desert habitat. Birds, too, have adapted to the harsh conditions of the desert. The cactus wren builds its nest in the thorny cactus plants for protection. Cactus wrens are well adapted to desert life. They can survive without water and rely on the juices of insects. Now let's explore the water habitats of the world. If you were to fly high above the Earth, you would soon discover that most of the Earth is covered by water, 3/4 of the Earth, in fact. And there are two main types of water habitats, freshwater and saltwater. Freshwater habitats include ponds, swamps, lakes, and rivers. Each freshwater habitat has very different kinds of plants and animals that live there, depending on what part of the world they are found in. The largest water habitat is the ocean, or saltwater habitat. Beneath the ocean, there are thousands of plants and animals. Plant life abounds under the sea, providing food and protection to the animals that live there. Sea animals come in all colors, shapes, and sizes, and they all have adapted to life under the sea. Now, it may be a little while before you have the chance to visit the Antarctic, a tropical rainforest, or the African plains. But in the meantime, you can learn a lot about nature's habitats in your own backyard, or a nearby park, or a nature preserve. No matter where you live, there are many opportunities to observe plants and animals. A large variety of birds are very common in all areas of the country. Most birds love berries and different kinds of seeds. You can easily build a bird feeder and fill it with berries and seeds. This way you can attract birds for you to study and observe. Right now I'm going to make some very simple seed holders. The first one is with a pine cone. Now I've already tied a string to the end of the pine cone. Now the first thing we're going to do is spread some peanut butter on the pine cone like this. Peanut butter song. This isn't even the best part. Wait till after we get the peanut butter on. And really well. Make sure you get it really coated well inside there. All right. The next thing we're going to do is roll our peanut butter pine cone into the bird seed. Isn't this fun? Ta-da! Now, hang your homemade bird feeder from a low branch in your backyard or even outside your window. Get an adult to help you with that part. You can even use an empty water bottle. Just cut out a hole in the bottle and fill it with bird seed. That makes a great bird feeder. And don't forget to provide water using a bird bath or even another water bottle. You'll be amazed at the number and types of birds that come to visit you. Now, part of the fun of this is bird watching, but you're also providing a very valuable service. By providing birds with a safe place to find food, these birds will be able to flourish. They'll have families, and the population will grow. Another good idea is to plant things that will attract birds and other flying things. Like sunflowers. They're a great source of food for birds. They're easy to plant and usually grow quite tall with very little care. Don't forget that small animals also need places to get out of the wind or to hide sometimes. Different types of shrubs and bushes will protect little animals and birds. The more shrubs you have in your backyard habitat, the more and different types of animals and birds you'll see. It's amazing the types of animals that will visit you in your backyard or a nearby park or nature center. Squirrels, chipmunks, even a deer may wander by if you can provide them with what every animal needs: food, water, and shelter. Make sure you talk to your parents before you start attracting animals into the backyard. Well, we've been on quite a journey today as you've prepared to become a bio-tracker. We visited the grasslands of North America and the African continent. We visited the cold and icy polar regions of the world. We've seen the animals and plant life that thrive in the coniferous and temperate forest habitats, and visited the incredible abundance of plants and animals in the tropical rainforest. And we've seen the variety of life that lives in the water habitats of the world. Whether freshwater rivers or saltwater ocean, these plants and animals have adapted to their watery environment so they may live and grow. We learned that the shelter a habitat provides is one of the most important features of that habitat. And we've seen how plants and animals have adapted or changed to survive in a habitat. Learning about animals and their habitats is lots of fun. Now, you've taken the first step to understand more about habitats and the plants and animals that live there. Studying plants and animals is way cool, and now you've got what it takes to be an official bio-tracker. See ya!